if you're a betting man, that's maybe the one to go for.
That's the
because
one.
As you just said, the odds aren't going to be there.
This is almost the part of boxing that is the most beautiful for me. I'm going to go out and say it here. I'm going to be brave. You'll back me anyway. She will be a multi-weight world champion. Mouthpiece, the home of unfiltered boxing. This episode is brought to you by Boxing Boys. Boxing Boys is a 3D animated NFT collection made up of 5,005 unique boxing characters, combining the real world of boxing with the digital revolution through a play-to-earn game. Each boxing boy has its own unique skill set, and upon collection becomes a playable character. Got my hat on today because I don't have a haircut yet. It's fight week.
Just yet.
It's fight week, so we've got to be so delicate with the timing.
Got to be careful.
We alluded to it last week. Savannah Marshall is back this March, the 19th, in Newcastle against tough challenger Femke Hermans.
It's a good fight.
It is a good fight.
It's a good fight.
It is.
Yeah. The road to undisputed continues.
Yeah. What we do know about Femke Hermans is that she's not unbeaten, but even in her losses, there have been close losses.
Yes.
She's Belgian. She's a tough challenger, you know. And if she's the type of fighter that if you want to be undisputed, you have to go through this kind of opponent.
Former world title holder.
Yeah, 15-3.
12-3.
15 fights, 12-3.
Yeah.
Look, she's gonna be a tough test, but I'm not sure if anyone's enough of a test for Savannah Marshall right now.
No.
I've just got a feeling that boxing in boxing, timing is everything, and I feel like things are gonna just start curving to her will soon. Just in terms of, you know, she's young, she's coming into her prime. I feel like. Obviously, the fight we're all looking at is the Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields. That's the big one. But I've got a feeling that by the time it happens, that Savannah wins it.
Yeah, I think Savannah's just on a demolition job through the middleweight division. As we've said before, hardest puncher in women's boxing. I'll go with in all of women's boxing. I do think she is the hardest hitting female in the sport.
Yeah.
I think she's on a demolition job through the middleweight division.
She's quality. She is quality. Obviously, we were there last year when she got a big stoppage. You know, like she hits that hard, you're going to be out on your feet if she lands on the bomb. So, interested and excited to see her back.
Well, we'll be seeing her on Saturday night, ready for the Claressa Shields fight. She's going to be ringside for that.
Okay, I thought as much. You know, I didn't know if they were definitely going to come.
I spoke to her today. Double check just to find out, and she's going to be there ringside. So
Peter Fury,
fingers crossed. I wouldn't be surprised. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah,
we'll find out.
Well, there's been a lot happening in the last few days. I'm not sure what direction you want to go off in first.
Look, I think this is a Boxer podcast. We're starting off the month. We've got a huge fight week this week.
Yeah.
Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams headline in the show. Obviously, headlines a massive card in Cardiff. What's your thoughts on that fight?
I think it's a humdinger. I think it's going to be a classic. I think they are both. I mean, their trainers won't love me for saying it, but I've got a feeling they're both going to almost leave game plans at the door. And as soon as they get in a ring and they realise they're in front of each other, and the first kind of power shot is thrown, and I think it's just going to explode from there.
Let's go right to the opening bell.
Yeah.
Okay. Who do you think is going to take centre ring, and who do you think is going to take the first step back?
I think that negotiation early doors is going to be won by Liam Williams. I think Liam Williams will want the front foot. I don't think Eubank will be that bothered about taking it. But I think in front of the Welsh fans, Eubank will see that as the first kind of minor victory in the bout, trying to take the front foot against Eubank, who is known best for coming forward and not so much for going backwards. But I think Eubank might want to display a little bit of boxing and think, you know, if you want to come and put it on me, that's fine. I'm not sure what you plan for. When you plan for Liam Williams, you know you're fighting a tough fight. You know you've got a tough opponent, someone who's game. But I'm not sure if you expect him to come after you.
Yeah.
But I've just got a feeling that Liam Williams will come to the centre, and I think Eubank will let him have it for first 20 seconds.
I have to agree. I think it may be even longer. I think Chris might be happy to just download some information, sort of see what Liam's about, especially when he backs his own chin as well.
Yeah.
I think if that chin is as strong as his new hairline is, then we're in for a treat.
Look, these are two of the best chins
yes.
in Britain. That's what it is. So, as in, they have, great power, speed. They've got all the technical attributes, but on top of that, they've both got solid chins. Like, they've not shown much vulnerability at all in that department. So I'm intrigued to see how it plays out going into that next few rounds. Rounds 3 to 6. I want to see who starts to take over that. I think this is going to be a bit of a push and pull.
Yeah, I think part of that and the way this fight is going to progress is down to the cornermen as well. Obviously, in both corners, you've got two of the most knowledgeable guys in boxing for different reasons.
Yeah.
But you got Adam Booth one side, and you got Roy Jones Jr. on the other side. The game plans, the mindset, the approach that they can take for these fighters going in between each round might just swing it. But
who would you want if you were in that ring? Which one would work best for you?
It's hard because they both bring very different approaches, very different reasons for why they're so good. Adam is obviously an elite trainer, tried and tested with his approaches, and you can trust him as a coach. Whereas Roy brings that element of he's been there, done it, got the t-shirt however many times over.
Yeah.
They both just bring so much to the fight that, it's a hard one. It's a hard one.
You'd be happy with either.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be happy with either. Sometimes I do think, though, with... I think it's quite hard for top fighters to translate into top coaches, because half of what they are and what they were was almost instinctive. They had like a sixth sense.
Yeah.
Like to be as good as Roy Jones Jr. is more than just training. It's a gift, combined with training, hard work, sacrifice, a degree of luck, whatever you want to call it. Given that, all of that to another fighter, I feel like is more difficult than somebody who has just been a coach.
Then again, with Chris, he doesn't listen to many people historically throughout his career.
Yeah.
He's not really been one to take on too many trainers. He might not even need a trainer. He might need, arguably, the GOAT to sit in his corner, and it's someone that he can actually think, right, you are actually like above me in the nicest terms, but it's someone he can actually listen to and think, right, of all people to listen to, Roy Jones is probably the guy that's got the experience to carry you through 100%. Those big fights. But yeah, I think the depth of knowledge in those two corners just makes it for an even bigger fight.
They'll earn their money. Both of them are going to have to. They will have to earn it, because this won't be. I would be absolutely dumbfounded if one of them just came out and dominated from start to finish.
Yeah.
It won't happen like that.
Yeah.
I think they'll both have their moments. The crowd will play a part as well. I've been pretty fancy with it in terms of. And this is the fight that you have to almost be, because you can't predict what's going to happen. And for anyone who says, no, Eubank's going to win by knockout in the fourth and they get it right, you lucked out.
Oh yeah,
that's not you being
not one
some
of them
boxing
fights,
guru.
Yeah,
no, this could go in any which direction.
I've literally been going back and forth with this fight so many times in my head. I still struggle to come to some form of a conclusion. One thing I thought of recently is momentum is a big thing in fights.
Yeah.
Liam, we know, has just come off the biggest fight of his career. Although it was a loss, he's not going to have learnt more than in that one fight specifically.
Yeah.
He might be able to take that, and yes, it was a loss, so you could argue the momentum isn't there, but having that huge step up against one of the best, if not the best, at 160 might just give him that added little bonus.
Yeah.
Versus Eubank, who fought Wanakaudian, then Marcus Morrison before that, and then before that.
It's about levels, isn't it? So in terms of recent opposition, you would give that to Liam. However, Liam lost.
Yeah.
So it's quite hard. This is as 50-50 as a fight can possibly get. I know Eubank will never want to hear that. But in terms of, trajectories and where they've been in recent years and just like the quality of opponents as of late, we know who Eubank can beat.
Yeah.
We're interested to see now the next step. We know that he's too good for that kind of European level. He's beaten some huge
100%.
names. 100%. We know that his thing is the world, the best in the world. Can you beat the best in the world, essentially? And then Liam Williams is a little bit of an unknown quantity, because he fought probably one of the most awkward fighters you could possibly fight in Andrade, because he's a fancy southpaw, difficult, tricky. He's never really there, but then he whips in uppercuts all over the place as well. So it was a tough fight. And he showed all his durability in that fight as well. So I don't know. That is a top of a bill to drool over.
Yeah, I'm just looking now. Before that Andre loss, Liam, as we know, was on an absolute wrecking job through the middleweight division. I think he won. I don't know if it was an official title, but it was something like the hottest prospect of a certain year, very recently.
Yeah.
He was on a 7 knockout win streak
Yeah.
from 2018 up until that Andre loss. So we know that, you know, he is someone that, although hasn't reached the pinnacle of the sport just yet, has got the hands and is on that. He was on that path to progression to the top. So
they've cleared out the domestic division.
Yeah.
Like, that is not an issue. That's not the question. This is probably a very good matchup for where they both are right now.
Yes.
You know, the winner, you know, steps up and goes on to world title challenges for sure. We're hearing about Eubank looking at Golovkin, like really wants Golovkin. But, you know, if Liam Williams gets that win, it's his, you know, like those big fights are now his, and he'll be pushing on for world title, because if you get a Eubank win on your record, it looks fantastic.
And it also does wonders for your leverage when it comes to numbers that you'll be raking in for the next fight. Obviously, you know, Eubank is a household name. Yeah. Whenever I talk to people about boxing and they want to know who's on this card, the safest bet is to go Chris Eubank Jr.'s headlining.
That's it.
Oh, sweet, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. Yes, it's Liam Williams. All the purists absolutely love this fight. As we've said 100 times, it's a proper 50-50 fight. But Eubank is just one of those names that just everyone knows.
Yeah, it jumps off the page at you. Yeah, you know, when you're looking at the card itself and you're looking for the big names, that is the big name.
Yeah.
And there are others on it as well, but you know, that's the one that tops the bill, and rightly so.
Yeah. Do you have a prediction if you're trying to get one?
No.
Neither do I.
I don't.
I just want to sit and enjoy that fight and watch it for what it is. It's going to be a proper British class. I do honestly think it'll be a fight of the year as well.
Yeah. I think it will be the fight that gels the fastest out of all the fights I can think of coming up on any bill for anyone.
Yeah.
So for me, I just got a feeling it's gonna fly. From the first bell. I think we're gonna see someone throw a hook, and it's just gonna go off the rails from there.
Just going back to the coaches, I know we obviously mentioned Adam Booth, but what's your take on Harlan being in the Williams camp?
It's interesting.
It's a bit of a strange one. Chris isn't happy with it.
I wouldn't be happy either. It's a strange one. Imagine your cousin is fighting your gym mate.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it. It may be very recent, and I'm guessing they are separated by a couple of hours per day or whatever it is. But there'll be times where they'll be together, and I would like to know what that atmosphere is like and what their relationship's like. Some people can kind of partition it, and it's just a fight, and they don't really let their emotions or the personal side get involved with it. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
You can't. Nah, I would not be happy with that.
Yeah.
But for Liam Williams, it's a bit of a, I wouldn't say 1-0 in mind games, but it's certainly something.
Yeah, I was going to say it's another little inch in that mental warfare, innit? But then again, against Chris, I don't think mental warfare comes into it. You're just not going to beat someone like that. He's just too strong-minded, too strong-willed.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll let him affect it. As the same with the fact that Adam used to train Chris. I don't think Chris is going to let that really bother him. He said it was only for 6 to 8 months or whenever it was, and then a little bit for the George Groves camp. I just don't think that's going to affect Chris.
I'll tell you what I do think could be a factor, and it's the trainers again. Adam Booth seems to create a specific type of fighter, and it's a fighter that is a bit of a sharpshooter, fast, quick jab, doesn't really like to get too caught up in exchanges, wants to punch in his own terms, and then, you know, be quite elusive when you can beat. That's good to beat Eubank, because that's the kind of fighter that has beaten Eubank in the past. But that doesn't necessarily marry up with Liam Williams' traits as a fighter. I wonder if Adam Booth will try and make him box more than he's ever boxed before, and whether that will all be undone and the trainer, you know, can basically just throw his hat out the ring, because once that firefight starts, I wonder if Liam Williams is going to be able to undo it and go back to the cool-headed jabbing and sharpshooting.
I mean, Adam Booth came out and said that, you know, 8 to 9 weeks together isn't too much time to really change loads of points. It's more about refining, sharpening, adding little pieces. This jab is obviously the main thing he can implement.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a risk maybe that Liam gets caught in between styles of, in his head, we know he loves the dust up. He was just on, as I said, a 7-win knockout streak.
Yeah.
He loves to go in and he backs himself in the middle of the ring. But if Adam Booth in between rounds is saying, stick to your boxing, keep a little bit of the distance, blah, 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 it might throw him off a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. It could throw both of them.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. This is what I'm saying. There's
so many anomalies in this. You've got the home crowd for Liam Williams behind him. You've got Chris that said he doesn't care what the crowd does. Even if it's boos, that's going to rile him up as well. There's just so many factors into this that just...
All the external factors, the new trainer, the additional time with that new trainer, the home crowd, all of those things on paper are all on Liam Williams' side. But then on the other side, you just have Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah.
And that's enough sometimes as well. So this is going to be interesting either way.
Yeah. It's yeah. Do you know what? I'm not even going to give a prediction for this one. As I said, we'll be sitting ringside.
Yeah.
I want to just sit and enjoy it. It should be one of the biggest fights of the year.
It will.
Should we move on to the card? You got anything else for that?
Let's go further down the card.
Okay, so co-main event. Teeing up that main event really, really nicely is Claressa Shields versus Emma Kozin.
Big fight.
As we know, Claressa is 2-time Olympic medalist, double undisputed, the self-proclaimed GWOAT, making her UK debut. You excited to see her live?
Yeah. Do you know what? I've got this thing because my my favorite boxer when I was growing up was Floyd Mayweather, and I see a lot of him in her mannerisms. She's talking big talk. She jumped off the plane. She's in the UK now, and the first thing she's done is discredit some UK boxers, and particularly Savannah Marshall. And there's an air of arrogance and she just doesn't really care. You know, she's the best, and in her opinion, she's the one to watch. She's coming here to knock people out, put on a show, take belts, and she's going back to America. And there's something about that kind of brashness that I like. I only like it, however, if you keep winning.
You got to back up the talk.
It doesn't work.
If you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk.
That's why Mayweather could do it, and not necessarily Adrian Broner. Once you start losing, that brashness needs to go back where it came from. But while she's winning, and while she is the GWOAT, and while she is undefeated in a boxing ring, and you know, unifying divisions and being undisputed, there's not much talk anyone can have for her.
When we talk about the presence that Eubank brings, I think Claressa's going to bring a similar big aura, a big, just an elite fighter. She's going to bring all the belts with her.
Yeah,
it's going to be a show. You know, there's going to be a performance there. Kozin actually put out a quote though saying, Claressa certainly had a good reputation and is one of the greatest female boxers out there, but I don't feel any pressure because of who she is. I see it as a huge opportunity and not some kind of burden. So she's looking to just make the most of this opportunity.
When it's all said and done, Emma Kozin has had twice the amount of fights as Claressa Shields.
Don't underlook Emma Kozin.
No losses on her record either. She should be as confident as ever. This is for Emma. This is the big break. This is the breakout fight. You know, I get to beat the people, the fighter that everybody considers the best ever.
Yeah.
So for her, you know, she'll look at this as a massive opportunity. When I had them on the media call, a lot of the attention was all towards Claressa. Not as many questions for Emma. At the moment, it does look a little bit like the Claressa show. And Emma will have noted that and you know, might be thinking Claressa's, you know, all of this is going to go to Claressa's head. She might be complacent on fight night. She does, and ultimately, you know, Emma doesn't know how to lose yet. You know, she won't have losing on her mind. She might get in there and do an absolute job on Claressa. We just don't know because she's a quality fighter herself. So that fight is, you know, perfect for the bill as well. It's a big, big fight.
Yeah. I mean, look, she's southpaw. She's 23. She's been pro for longer than Claressa, only by 2 months. But she's got, as you said, more knockouts, or the same amount of knockouts that Claressa has as fights, and then double the amount of fights. So she's got a lot of experience, despite only being 23. As you said, she doesn't know how to lose. Claressa is not just looking at the 160 division, but like 4 divisions right now. She's even looking down at 147 as we saw earlier in the week. Her tweeting out there could be an upset.
Well, there could be. You know, if you overlook anybody, you're not overlooking. This is not a journeyman fight. This is not a pick 'em. This is not a give me my win fight. This is a fight against somebody who's more experienced than you, younger than you, has won more fights than you. Like there's everything. If you're looking at records and all the numbers, everything suggests that Emma Kozin is every bit in this fight.
Look, Emma's ranked number 3 in the world at middleweight, only below Savannah. Obviously,
Exactly.
Clarissa's number 1, Savannah's at number 2, and then Kozin's number 3. So she's right up there. Although she's not the biggest name, let's not, we can big her up by stats in the paper, and she's a sick fighter, but she's not known. But she's ranked number 3rd in the world. So she's no small fighter.
No, she is. Look, that will be a lot closer than what I'd imagine the bookies will have.
Yeah.
That fight will be as much of a 50-50, in my opinion, as the Eubank Williams fight. That will be 2 very good top of the bill fights.
If you're a betting man, that's maybe the one to go for.
That's
because,
the one.
as you just said, the odds aren't going to be there. So, yeah, that's. I'm really, really excited for that fight. And excited to see Claressa UK debut. Savannah's ringside.
Yeah. And exactly, all the pressure's on Claressa. That is one thing to kind of make sure everybody understands. Claressa's putting pressure on herself. There's rumors that Money May is coming over. That's even more pressure. Savannah Marshall sitting ringside, even more pressure. Dan and Mason after doing this podcast sitting ringside. You don't need all this pressure. Emma Kozin's just. She's not expected to do much.
She's just flying under the radar, isn't it? She's just flying under the radar.
All the pressure's on Savannah. All the pressure is on Claressa.
Is on Claressa, correct. But yeah, look, if she does get the win, obviously that lines up a monumental year for women's boxing as well, with the Savannah fight hopefully being worked for in the summer.
Big fight. Big fight. Let's move on down the road.
Big fight. Sticking with title fights, just underneath that we have Samuel Antwi versus Conor Walker for the English welterweight title. Antwi, as we know, is making his first defence of the title. He beat Jez Smith on the way to that title, the most notable name, and we saw the war that he brought out in Brad Ray at the Newcastle card.
That's going to be a good dust up as well.
Yeah,
that's you know what? For the amount of fights there are, I don't think anyone realised how many of these are actually 50-50. These are not easy fights for any of them. Nobody would be surprised if Liam Williams won. Nobody would be. Well, people would be surprised, but if you wouldn't be entirely shocked if Emma Kozin won, and you wouldn't be surprised if there was whatever the winner out of this fight is either.
Yeah. We know Conor Walker is coming off a huge first round knockout against Jack Eubank, I believe it was recently.
Is Jack Eubank? Because there are loads of Eubanks now.
It's EW. Different spelling. There's a lot of Eubanks, but no, that one isn't part of the family tree. But yeah, that English title is always a good one. It's good to watch English title fights. They're the ones that really, once you take that win, that's when you start
kicking
going,
on.
This is real now. I can move towards the British. Then once you get that, that can almost flip the switch to.
Well, once you get to British titles, essentially there's only 2 levels above that. You've got Europeans and you've got worlds. That's it. So this step here, this English title level, is a glass ceiling for a lot of fighters because some fighters, they win a southern area and then they try and get that English and they can't, or there's things go wrong. You win in English and all of a sudden it is kind of clear skies above you, providing you can get past that British. Stuff
starts getting real once you start getting those domestic titles. And as we mentioned, momentum is a big thing as well. Like if you've won that southern area or whatever domestic title it is you've won. I know Samuel Antwi won the southern area and Conor Walker won the Midlands area. So they've both had that taste of adding one belt to the trophy cabinet. They've got their eyes set. Samuel Antwi's obviously making his first defence. Conor's going to want this English title. You're really, you're hungry at all levels. Yeah. But at that initial stage as well, where stuff gets real.
This is almost the part of boxing that is the most beautiful for me, because it's not so much about purse bids. Yeah. It's not so much about big money, aside money, all the millions that we're hearing fly all over the place at the moment. It's not about that. It's just about who is the best at this level in this area at this time. Yeah. And because of it, you just get, I don't know, there's a degree of honesty to Southern area English Britishes, and then obviously once you start getting into the money, you're northern negotiating. But that's a quality fight.
Yeah, this is when you're in it for the love of the game, for the nitty gritty.
That's it.
These are the building blocks, and being on the undercard of Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams. Let's not discredit that. So obviously he's got world recognition now. You can really make a name for yourself if you put on a performance of the night.
Easily, and forget just the fact that you're fighting on an undercard like that, on a bill like that. Sorry, you're fighting live on Sky. Like this is the best and biggest platform. It can't get any better.
Yeah.
February 5th. I'm not sure if there's any who the football match is, but look, bottom line,
I'm not sure.
Chelsea playing on the 5th. Whatever it is, this is prime time stuff. You really want to put on a performance, and there isn't a better place that you can do it.
Moving down the card, we have Chris Jenkins versus Julius Indongo. That's a fight that's gone under the radar. That's actually that's a great little fight.
Yeah.
Chris Jenkins is a former British title holder. He's coming back to his home country. Bit of a coming home party, really.
Yeah.
He's not fought in Wales for quite some time. Facing the tough Julius Indongo. He's no stranger to fighting in people's backyards.
Yeah.
He obviously stripped Ricky Burns of his world title in Glasgow.
He's tough.
So
tough as they come. So, I mean, obviously, you can't be as tough as you were 10 years ago unless you're 20 going into 30. And even then, sometimes it doesn't work like that. Yeah. But it's a good name. And it will be a good fight. And he will always bring it. He will always, he doesn't really have, much give in the way he fights. So, another big one. The fight I'm looking at
go on.
It's not necessarily the fight I'm looking at, but the performance I'm looking at.
I think I know who you're going to say, but go on.
Caroline Dubois.
Of course.
I proper rate her.
Yeah.
I think she is sick.
Yeah.
Her style, we're beginning to get women boxers now that are technically superb. Like, as good as any man has ever been. Her style is ridiculous. She's obviously with Shane McGuigan. But even when you see her, the way she punches through the pads, and she is... I'm going to go out and say it here. I'm going to be brave. You'll back me anyway. She will be a multi-weight world champion. She is that good.
I can vouch for that.
Good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. And, it helps, obviously, when you've got a big brother like Daniel Dubois.
Yeah.
But, look, she is the real thing, 100%.
But she's tried and tested on the amateur scene. Obviously, she's just come off the Olympics. She's got that big stage, the world stage.
Yeah.
She's not really going to get nervous and blindsided by the big lights. She's someone that I think will really grow into her career as such, really. I'm pretty sure she won a gold medal at the Junior Olympics.
Is
that correct?
Me. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, Youth Olympic Games champion in 2018.
She's sick. She's good. She's proper. See, do you know what it is? I think she had something like 65 fights or 65 wins and 3 losses or something like that.
Yeah.
The records are that you don't get that every day. That's big numbers. These are numbers that people would rate Lomachenko for, Guillermo Rigondeaux. Like, these are when you're only losing 3 amateur fights. Amateur fights are like the hardest thing to score, because they're like, if you're only losing 3 of those, you're the real thing.
When you talk about amateur fights and amateur careers and sticking with that path to progression, she, as you all know, she began her career under the name Colin at Repton, I believe.
Yeah.
Katie Taylor obviously did a similar thing. I can't remember what name she went under, but she basically had to impersonate a boy just to get into the ring in the first place, because amateur clubs wouldn't take her. We saw the progression that Katie took on, and she's got that different level of toughness through probably fighting boys as a kid. So I think Caroline's going to have the same thing, and I'm really excited to see her career.
100%. It's actually crazy to think that they went to gyms and pretended to be boys and got away with it, and then sparred all the boys for however long.
And still dust them up.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's bonkers, but it's good because they'll have just an extra. I don't know.
Yeah.
They'll have something extra.
They've had to prove their worth way more than any guy going through the sport. So they'll just have a different level of mental toughness, but the physical toughness as well.
100%.
Her opponent, Vaida Masiokaite, she fought Ebony Jones on her debut. So it will be a good sort of gauge for where Caroline is at.
She was quite tall as well, if I remember rightly.
She's very tall.
Yeah, she was quite tall. Tough. I remember Ebony Jones was punching up at her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good debut.
Yeah. Super excited to see her. It'd be interesting to see what she does. Obviously, she spoke about she's happy to move up the weights as well when we spoke to her last week. But what a perfect time to be debuting in one of the fastest growing elements of any sport right now. The women's game is just flying.
And mind you, the added incentive of knowing that your hero, Claressa Shields, is fighting a couple of fights up the card. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's like the stuff that dreams are made of. It would be like fighting on a Mayweather card.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, spoiler, we're going to try sort out Claressa meets Caroline as a little sit down. We're going to tee that up. Let Caroline just pick her brains. Who better to have on your debut card? It's it's almost like a fairy tale start to the career.
It's crazy.
Obviously, she was meant to fight in London, got ill.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Richard Riakporhe isn't one that you want to be fighting on the undercard of, but getting to fight on the same card as Claressa for her is going to be extra special.
Yeah.
Moving down the card, we have Steve Robinson is back.
Yes.
Geordie heavyweight. Disney Drago. He's
the big man. He's been waiting. I mean, he hasn't been out since October, I'm guessing.
October, and it was an 82-second knockout. So yeah, he'll be coming. He's got a 75% knockout rate. So he's coming for another knockout.
Big big Newcastle fan. A big puncher, big man, a bit of a friendly giant as well. I like him. I really like him. But yeah, like this, everyone loves a heavyweight. Everyone loves one that can punch and is willing to kind of go to war as well. Hopefully, he impresses again in a good, good performance, and hopefully we get him back out. Quick turnaround. If we can get him back out for Newcastle again, that would be great. Yeah,
he's a proper character. He's got his Disney tattoos. He's got the whole Ivan Drago gimmick going on. But so far, he's been letting his hands back up the talk as well. So, no complaints there. And obviously, the British heavyweight domestic scene is pretty hot right now.
Yep.
Lower down, it's obviously we've had all the trials and tribulations with the top of the sport, but at a domestic level, the British scene is super fun for the heavyweight. So,
and there's another added surprise to the card.
There is indeed another heavyweight fight.
Otto Wallin returns.
Yeah.
Look, a lot of people will look at this and be like, why is he fighting in a 6th rounder against Kamil Sokolowski? Mm-hmm. Did I say that right? I'm sorry.
Sokolowski, I believe it is, but
butchered the name.
Close enough.
I think it's a trickier fight than people think, providing Kamil is motivated.
Yeah.
He's tough. He gave David, my friend David Adelaide,
arguably beat him. I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to say it, but as in, look, he gave him a tough fight, And when he's motivated, he's a big, strong, tricky fighter, And this isn't. I mean, depending on how well prepared Kamil is, this could be an upset. It could.
Look, Kamil is a bit of a vet in the game. He's had 30 plus fights, 37 fights, 36 fights. He's fought everyone from Dillian White, Nathan Gorman. Who else he fought? Tom Little, Martin McCauley, David Price, Nathan Gorman again, Lucas Brown, Cash Ali, David Adelaide, Solomon Dakers. So
there's an argument to suggest he has the best resume of all the heavyweights out there.
Yeah.
Fair enough, his record what's that, 24 losses and 11 wins.
We don't need to worry about that.
They're dubious. They're dubious. But even those losses, they're all tough. Like, they're not... You have to earn your win against him, you know? And there's a reason he's been in with absolutely... If you're no good, you get beat by a big prospect, you don't come back. But he's fought... We've just seen the record. He's fought absolutely everyone, and he keeps fighting everyone. He is the perfect gatekeeper. So...
And look, we saw with David, if you're not on your game properly, Otto's been out the ring for 11 months. He's coming off a win against Dominic Brazil.
Yep.
But that was 11 months ago, in February last year. No. Yeah, about a year ago, I think it was. I can't remember what date it was. But if you're not on your game against him, the boxer audience that have been around for a long time will know he was at Ultimate Boxer 6. He got through to the semi-finals and then was beaten by eventual champ Nick Webb.
Yeah.
But yeah, even though he's the away fighter, he's fought in Britain 1,001 times, and he can bring it as well. 100%. So I do like Otto Wallin though. I do like him.
So do I.
Slick southpaw, moves very well for a heavyweight.
Yeah.
There was
he's a bit like Usyk. There's a bit of Usyk.
I can give you
not
that.
Usyk.
10%.
Yeah. 10%. He's got 10%.
I get what you're saying though, but yeah. Look, even when he was proposed to fight Dillian White. That's a hard fight.
Yeah.
It's a hard fight. Southpaws are historically hard in the heavyweight division. And he's a slick boxer. He's obviously a rough boxer. He obviously gave Tyson Fury his hardest fight.
Yeah.
With the big cut and stuff, and was leaning into it with his glove and all this.
His experience. This is what you got to do if you want to win fights. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know, you can win it tidily and beautiful and land, a right hand or a left hand down the pipe, or you can rough fighters up, and you can do it in the uglier way. And I like fighters that can do it all.
From being super experienced to someone that's not so experienced but is making waves through the Welsh domestic scene is Rhys Edwards. He's one of my one to watch, I think.
Yes.
He's actually a really, really sick fighter.
Yeah.
Super fast hands, throws punches in bunches, is brutal to the body, undefeated, stepping up in his first 8-rounder. Yeah, really excited to see him.
I always like them divisions. Yeah. Honestly, the super bantamweight, like, you get fast hands, you get a certain degree of power in there as well.
Yeah. If you have power and the speed down at those divisions,
that's it.
You can blast through them.
That's it. You can fly through them. The thing is, those weight divisions are often dominated by either Southeast Asians or that. It's weird. We don't have a lot of fighters here that dominate those divisions. I think it's about time we start dominating them.
Yeah, and he's actually in Liam Williams' camp as well. They obviously train together, so he's going to be riding that momentum as well. He's going to be taking inspiration from the pinnacle of the sport right now. Yeah. Top of the card. No one better to be training with. He was born in 2000 as well.
He's a millennial.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Millennial.
2000.
What do they call him? Like Generation X?
Gen Z?
Gen
Something
Z,
like
that's
that.
it.
Either way, 2000, which feels weird to say.
Do you know what? Looking at this card, I think a couple of them are. Caroline Dubois was 2000 maybe?
Caroline Dubois is... Yes.
Maybe. We're getting on,
yeah.
Mace.
She 2000. I mean, I'm only 1998, so I can't speak too much, but just seeing that turn in the decade is a crazy one. But I'm super excited to see Rhys Edwards. Just a nice guy as well, but he's got the power and the venom in the ring to back it up. It's a very, very good card. Oh, finally, we have Eubank's cousin, Harlem.
We mentioned him earlier. We didn't mention that he was in a fight. He's in a fight that I think he should win.
Yeah.
Good fighter as well. He's quite a tidy, pure boxer.
Yeah. So Adam's in for a bit, not a long night, but
he's got more than a few. Yeah, he's got more than a.
Maybe that plays into Chris's hands as well. Just to tie it back to the top of the card, Adam. Chris's camp is Chris.
Yes.
Adam Booth's camp or gym has many moving parts in it. You got Harlem, you got Liam, you got this guy, you got that guy. I can't remember who else in the gym exactly, but Adam's going to be not 100% focused on Liam as much as he says he
will be by the time the fight comes. But
throughout
earlier
camp,
on in the day, he's got to be like, all right, cool, we've got to do that fight, and then we've got to do that fight. It's true.
It's a crazy one. Do you have, so I don't even know if I want to ask this because it's so hard to call, but do you have an early prediction for fight of the night? Besides Williams Eubank, because I think we can agree that one just gels straight away.
I actually think if it's not that one, then I would go Emma Kozin, Claressa Shields. Yeah. I think that will match up quite nicely. What about you?
I would say either that one, the English title as well, just because you spoke about the hunger there when you are competing for that belt. I think that's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah.
Across the board, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good fight card. It's going to be a lively one, definitely. I'm interested to see how they look at the weigh-in. If anyone loses their rag, if there's any additional drama. Not that we need it. We know it's going to be fireworks, but I'm just intrigued to see what it looks like on Thursday and Friday.
I've got a list here. That's the card, but I just want to throw it back a little bit to the biggest fights in Welsh boxing history. When we talk about main events trying to deliver, there's actually been some iconic fights that have happened in Wales. So we had Lennox Lewis versus Frank Bruno in 1993. That was a huge fight. That was one of the biggest British fights.
Yeah.
Prince Naz versus Steve Robinson.
Different
Steve Robinson.
Yeah.
Different Steve Robinson. But again, that was in Cardiff. Then you got Joe Calzaghe.
Kessler. It's a great fight.
War.
Great fight.
And then the big man, AJ versus Carlos Takam. So there's been a lot of big nights that have delivered in Wales. Eubank Williams is soon to be added to that. We'll be joining the list.
It's a good city. It's a top city. Like that's a who's who card there. Look, Cardiff is. I've never been. I've actually never been.
No.
You've never been either?
No.
I heard it's a decent night out as well. I've heard.
Yeah.
Look, let's go there. Let's dominate the boxing scene. Let's dominate the city, and let's get out there. What else are we talking about? I'm sure we've got quite a lot to get through in terms of the world boxing news.
We spoke about big fights in Wales. The next one that is pending in Wales is at the Principality in April, I believe.
Yeah.
None other than Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. That's finally been figured out. What do you make of that whole situation?
I don't know. Everyone's blaming each other.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. Look, I suppose last week I sat here and I said, if I'm AJ, I take the money. If I'm thinking now, obviously that opportunity is gone. But I think the second best thing is still a good thing. You know, you still got to fight Alexander Usyk. I think if you're talking from a purist standpoint, this is the way you'd want it to happen. I think you'd want AJ to avenge his loss, and you'd also want Dillian Whyte to get his shot, as he's been mandatory since forever. It did go to the wire. I'm super impressed that Frank Warren has found $41 million. That it makes it the biggest first bid in history.
Ever.
Wow. Big fight.
Yeah.
God knows what is going to need to happen to break even in terms of how many sales you need, how many pay-per-view buys. That's neither here nor there for us. But as a fight fan, that fight is mouth-watering.
The war of words is going to be insane between Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte.
The press conference should be pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
It
could be, you know.
It is a quality build-up because you know they are almost polar opposites, but both maniacs. So it makes for a war of words. You know, you'll get some drama before the first bell goes. That's for sure, 100%.
Yeah, the mind game's going to be crazy. I think Tyson coming home as well is really going to ramp it up when he gets back on UK soil. Well, he's already on UK soil, but you know what I mean, for the actual live events.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that one.
And I'm guessing that will tee up. I mean, there's not been an announcement for Usyk and AJ, but I'm guessing it would happen within a couple of months of it. So
you'd hope so, because in theory they're now sort of semi-finals for the Undisputed again.
Yes.
You got AJ versus Usyk for the WB. What belt's Usyk got?
Usyk's got.
Usyk's got.
IBF, WBO,
yeah.
WBA.
Yeah.
And then obviously
Tyson's got WBC. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So that's. I mean, look. Bottom line, we do all want to see Undisputed. I'm not sure who is going to get to fight who, because there could be a spanner in the works. Imagine if Dillian Whyte wins.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everyone has been beaten now, except for Alexander Usyk.
Yeah.
Like, just anything can happen. Anything.
Yeah. It's gonna be it's a crazy couple of months for boxing in general as well.
I would like to put my hand up and defend my decision last week.
Okay.
I'm taking the money. I'm taking the money, 100%, because there were people supporting me and saying, yeah, take the 50 mil, of course, because it's 15 mil and we haven't made 15 mil. But there were also other people saying, no way, like, why would you do that? You know, what if Fury wins the belts and then retires undisputed? I was saying it assuming that contract was watertight.
Yes.
Watertight, sealed. And also my thinking was that regardless of AJ losing to Fury, the Usyk fight is still there. I think if this, purse bid hadn't happened and whatever had happened, they'd reached a deal. I think if AJ fought Fury next for Undisputed and lost, the Usyk fight still exists because there's still a question unanswered there.
Yeah.
But I did think that if AJ fought Usyk again and lost, that the Fury fight isn't there. So that was basically part of my thinking as to why.
I think it could have maybe still been there. It just would have devalued it.
Big time.
Another level.
Big time.
And fans can be very harsh and they'll only remember your most recent performance. So they quickly forget all of AJ's accolades. And if they see him on two losses, that fight would still be there, I think, because it's a huge British fight.
But I think it just, the pendulum swings too far for you to be able to make a deal that works. Yeah. At the moment, everyone's kind of 50-50-ish in terms of their agreeing terms and all of that kind of stuff. I just think it would throw it too far out, and I don't think anyone would be happy with the numbers. But anyway, I just hope in the next 12, 18 months we get everybody fighting each other, because, look, it's what the fans want. When it's all said and done, all we want to know is the answers to who would fight and who would beat this one and who wins out of them. It's what we want as fans, you know. We can sit here with our boxer hats on and our you know, knowing that we have to protect certain assets and everyone. We know that this is a business, but as a fan, we just want to see the fights that we want to see.
Look, roll on Cardiff. When are you getting there? I'll be there Tuesday evening in preparation of the open workouts on Wednesday.
I will be arriving like bang on the open workouts. Like I'll be there. I'm pretty sure as people are getting in the ring.
We've got a busy week. We got open workouts.
Yep.
And then we have the press conference on Thursday. Friday, we have the official weigh-ins, and then we're doing a ceremonial weigh-in. The final face-off, we're calling it. The final face-off, yes. Perfect. That's going ahead. Final face-off Friday evening. Really setting up that final bit of fight night anticipation. Get the fans there.
For the people in the camera who aren't aware of what a ceremonial weigh-in is, explain it to them. It is a bit of a UFC concept, right?
It is. A ceremonial is essentially more. It's to make it more accessible to the fans, I think, and it becomes an event that we want to get as many people seeing this fight as much as possible. But really, when it comes down to it, a ceremonial, you have your official weigh-in. Obviously, we can't starve the fighters until 6 p.m. in the evening. As much as we would love to, it'd bring even more heat. You weigh in at midday, 1 o'clock, whenever the official time is.
Alone, separately, not with each other.
Yeah, alone. So this Friday evening will be the final face-off.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep the fighters apart until 6 p.m, whenever it is. And then you get them on stage, rehydrated, a bit more full of energy, ready for the final face-off.
Yeah.
Well, members of talent down there. We're going to have a fan zone set up. It's going to all be kicking off. It should tee up fight night nicely. And then Saturday, we're into the big one, the fight night Cardiff. So... yeah, super excited. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just think if you can get to Cardiff and you can find a way to get to that fight, get there. It's going to be a great night. But yeah, I guess that is it. This has been a pretty long episode anyway.
I think so. We should have put a timer on. I've got no idea.
Good luck, George.
Yeah, George, have fun with the
good
edit.
luck. Anyway, this has been 45 minutes. Oh, it's not too bad.
Okay.
It's not too bad. We just heard it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, well, this has been Mouthpiece. This episode was brought to you by Boys NFT, and we will see you next week. Anything you want to say?
All good. Roll on fight night.
Let's go. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff that you know you should be doing, and stay locked in because we're going to be dropping exclusive news on this podcast every week. Mouthpiece, the home of unfiltered boxing. This episode is brought to you by Boxing Boys.